with his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning. It's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
How does this statement fit with different gender norms in different cultures and this culture across time and space? How does it fit with women today, including Christian women, who don't want to take on these motherly and womanly roles? How does it compare with the academic consensus in this area? What does it have to do with the article?
The connection to the article is clear. The article stated that teasing of gender atypical kids is a problem. She disagrees, pointing out that gender atypicality is a fabrication because God assigned the correct gender at birth. Therefore, those who push the message of gender atypicality are acting against God's will. I don't see how she could have made that clearer. Okay, maybe she could have, but it's not hard to discern this. I mean, you didn't see that? Mind you, she does a poor job of making the connection back to the author's study, but no one is arguing for a high score.
This is not a serious essay. You're just preaching. Now, Samantha, the term
Just preaching. I wonder if she was scored poorly on account of her religious beliefs.
academic consensus means something is a shared opinion amongst most qualified experts in a particular field. So, for example, the theory of evolution in my field isn't just something that we all agree upon to fit in. It's something that has so much evidence and meets the burden of proof in such a monumental way that almost all experts around the world agree on it, and anyone who doesn't has a ton of work to do to be taken seriously. So for you to say all this stuff that goes against the academic consensus without even considering ways that you could possibly be wrong is a really bad look for someone who wants to make it in higher education.
And we're back to scoring her based on her academic background and now future. Speaking of bad looks, this mocking of Samantha, a college student, by use of the preschool graphics is unbecoming of a professional educator. If you're going to score her paper and leave the personal slights and childish mockery behind. I mean, how does this strengthen your argument?
Got it? Okay. Samantha then takes a massive turn into something that she clearly just heard in church recently and decided needed to be in this essay. It's also the only time that she directly mentions the Bible. But again, it's not a citation. She just says, this is in the Bible and this is what it means, with no references whatsoever. In Genesis, God says that it is not good for man to be alone. So he created a helper for man, which is a woman. Many people assume the word helper in this context to be condescending and offensive to women. However, the original word in Hebrew is ezer kenegdo, which directly translates to helper equal to. Additionally, God describes himself in the Bible using ezer kenegdo or helper.
Let me give all of you instructors a tip out there on grading writing assignments. This habit of blistering that paper with red is pedagogically unsound. I can do the same to nearly anyone's writing. I wordsmith books for Springer Verlag, and I can tell you that even seasoned university professors make mistakes. And these are not even serious errors. Writing across the curriculum specifies that only the first 6 lines should be marked up like this. Then you draw a line under the 6th line and tell students that you chose not to mark any issues with writing conventions beyond that point. Students do not learn to write from this scoring approach. They've had their essays bled on for 16 years and they're still making these mistakes. So adding on another slaughter isn't going to teach them anything. And it's debilitating. It's hard for a student to appreciate what they did well and garner encouragement if their paper is marked up like this. Here's what I suggest. Pick out the top 5 most common mistakes that you saw made by all students and deliver actual instruction on correcting them. If students are confusing the use of commas and semicolons, point that out and explain when to use them by defining independent and dependent clauses. I have done that in my classes. Here, the bare form of the verb to be is an issue for conciseness and is also a common problem with passive writing. So instruct your students on singling out was, is, are, were, be, been, and so on, and recrafting these sentences for maximum impact. In other words, teach them. Students don't write well because too many instructors, such as you, simply show them where they made mistakes while never actually teaching them. And keep in mind, These mistakes that he's pointing out actually did not affect the writing clarity. Putting to be in there and that in there does not make the sentence hard to read. So if clarity is on the scoring rubric, then you only mark off that which hinders the clarity of the prose. Misspellings and stuff, forget about it. It's not a big deal.
And he describes his Holy Spirit as our helper as well. This shows the importance God places on the role of the helper, women's roles. So now we're just doing a Bible study. She's referring to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, by the way, but as I said before, there are no citations in this essay, so anybody who isn't familiar with the Bible wouldn't know that.
I don't have an issue with dissing her on this account. Again, that doesn't warrant a 0.
And there are also no references for her proposed translation of the word helper, and the words in Hebrew aren't even written in Hebrew. They're just phoneticized into English. So it's really difficult to fact check her, especially considering the fact that I am neither an expert on the Bible, nor am I trained in classical Hebrew.
She probably doesn't have the font package to typeset in Hebrew. I certainly would not expect any of my students to do that. He brings in a friend who has done a lot of work in biblical studies now. They examine her claim about women being equal according to the Hebrew translation for the next 14 minutes. I'm not joking. This is a level of analysis that extends way beyond that which I would consider in assigning a student a grade. In short, they seem to think that Samantha's claim about the translation is a bit of a stretch. Okay, she may have blown it there on that point, but a 0? No, come on.
From there, Samantha unfortunately continues. God does not view women as less significant than men. He created us with such intentionally and care. I'm guessing she meant intentionality. And he made women in his image of being a helper. She forgot to capitalize the word his there, but I suspect that pronouns might be a consistent issue for her.
Yeah, this is the guy who tasked himself with scoring her paper objectively.
And in the image of his beauty. If leaning into that role means I am following gender stereotypes, then I am happy to be following a stereotype that aligns with the gifts and abilities God gave me as a woman. And now we're not even doing a Bible study anymore. Samantha is just telling us what she believes her God thinks and wants, and how she views herself in the context of her faith. We've gone from responding to a scholarly article, to proselytizing, to Bible study, and now one woman's personal relationship with her religion.
She's been using her personal relationship with her religion the entire time. Her essay has been all about that. That's her opinion. That's her belief. She is under no obligation to convince you that her belief system is the correct one.
And this is what's so important here. Whether you agree with Samantha or not, it is undeniable that this is not a psychology essay. There is no way that she should receive a passing grade for this.
That's a straw man argument. Even I say that she got at most a D and really an F. The issue is whether she should have received a 0. Just for writing clarity alone, which was worth 5 points, she doesn't deserve a 0. A 0 for writing clarity means I couldn't read it. And I've seen some of those essays. I couldn't make heads or tails out of what she was saying. But her writing is clear. She makes mistakes in writing conventions, but all students do. She has the occasional run-on sentences, sure. But in terms of my ability to read what she wrote and comprehend what it means, it certainly is not a 0. She had some problems with paragraph structuring, meaning that the ideas didn't always flow across the pages in a systematic way, but nothing out of the ordinary for a typical undergraduate. I gave it a 3 out of 5 when I scored it. Well, I can see an argument for 2 out of 5, but a 0? No way. That is completely indefensible. But keep in mind, I shut out all of the other issues affecting the quality of her essay when scoring writing clarity, and that is something he seems incapable of doing. If anything, there appears to be a pretty strong personal resentment towards Samantha. For example, he wrote this down simply because she used the word "and" in multiple succession, a mistake that appears in countless essays. There's no need for this level of mockery. In the end, Forrest comes off as an arrogant know-it-all. My suggestion is that he needs more experience teaching writing, and if he wants to challenge me on the pedagogy of writing instruction, I will take him on any day he likes. And in fact, I have challenged him to a debate in the comments section of his video, but I think he'd be a fool to take me on. like my video, and subscribe to my channel.